Alert, you can no longer pretend that this isn't happening. You see the title, Biometric Lockdown, Why U.S. Passports Will Be Flagged in 2026. We need to talk about this. I need you to wake up. Your own self needs you to wake up. Your family needs you to wake up and understand what is coming to this world by 2026 or maybe even a little bit earlier. Once upon a time, a passport was just a piece of paper, a handshake, a polite nod from the gatekeeper. You handed it over, you got your stamp, and went on your way. But in 2026, that fairy tale is going to end. The age of biometric lockdown is here, and if you carry a U.S. passport, you are not exempt. This is the age of anonymous travel being dead. There was a time, ask your grandfather, when you could travel under a different name, or people would not even ask questions when you went to the border, a paper ID, a strong story, and you were through. But governments have outgrown that era. They no longer ask, who are you? They ask, where have you been? Who did you touch? Who did you meet along the way, and how did you feel about it? The new biometric systems don't check names. They track identities. They track biometrics. They check your iris. They check your fingerprints, and it's all international. They map out your face. They analyze your gait, and they assign you a global mobility score, one that can be frozen without trial. And it's all coming to a passport checkpoint near you in 2026. As you can tell, this video is on such a serious topic, and I believe that you should like this video and share it with 5 to 10 people, especially if you're an expat or you're wanting to travel or you've been thinking of leaving America for good, or the West, Canada, the UK, wherever. You want to get this information, really understand it, write down your notes, and do your own research so you understand what I'm talking about. Because right now, I'm the watchwoman on the wall that's warning you about everything that's coming. You know, we have talked about crypto on this channel, Ripple, the new changes. We're talking about travel updates, embassy closures. We are covering all this stuff. And if you go back to some of our previous videos, we also covered the 36 country travel ban, where mostly countries in Africa and the Middle East were getting flagged due to trade war tariff issues, assumingly because President Trump wasn't really clear about why these 36 countries were on that travel ban. And listen, I pump out so much content by the grace of the Most High. And so you're really going to want to subscribe. You're going to want to hit the bell notification, and you need to be coming back here. Check Journey with us. Go through the videos and see which ones you did not watch yet, because there's so much information, and I'm telling you, it is all related. So let's start with Europe, shall we? Let's zoom over to Europe real quick and discuss this new EU biometric border target, which is literally happening in the next few months. I don't know if CNN's covering it. I don't know if anybody's covering it, but you know I got your back, and so I'm covering it here with you right now, because right now it's the end of July, and we have August, September, then we're going to be at October, okay? So starting in October 2025, the Schengen Entry-Exit System, EES, will go live. That means every non-EU traveler, yes, US citizens included, will be required to submit fingerprints and facial scans. Data will be stored for 3 years if your visit is short, and longer if you overstay. Refusal equals denied entry at the border. And just so you know, the EU is comprised of 25 countries, but it includes France, Germany, Spain, Italy, Portugal, Poland, and other countries in Europe. Plus, Switzerland, Norway, and Iceland are also adopting this as well. The old stamp is gone. Now the border agent looks at a screen, and the screen looks into your soul. Forget what your passport says. What matters now is what the algorithm decides. And that's just really weird. Like, it just gives me like sci-fi movie vibes. It's very odd. Leave a comment down below if you think this is weird. Like, if you're like, I'm not really sure what this means. And listen, if you are like, I don't know what this means, I don't know if I want to travel there, I would implore you to instead travel to the global south. My family and I'm a mother of 5, I'm married. I've been in the global south, more specifically Southeastern Africa, for the past 5 years. It's the best decision we ever made for our family, hands down. We've given birth while abroad. Our children are thriving. They speak multiple languages. And so this is literally the move that changed everything for us. And it can be that way for you too. But now that we're done with Europe, let's go back to the land of the free, the home of the brave, okay? While the EU sets up biometric traps at its gate, the US government is playing a more subtle game. The Department of Homeland Security is debating whether to move the Office of Biometric Identity Management, OBIM, which currently holds over 270 million unique biometric identities under Customs and Border Protection. Newsflash, they're obviously going to do that, okay? We've seen everything change with this administration. And honestly, it's quite all to get into the beast system. And I don't have a better way. I don't have a more cozy way to say it to you, but it's all related. I'm telling you that right now. It is all related. So you probably want to check out our playlist, because I'm telling you, from the 36 country travel ban, where they're telling you, hey, you can go to this country, you cannot go to this country, or else we're going to put extreme tariffs on you and then say that nobody can travel there. That's essentially a biometric or digital lockdown. It's a lockdown of negotiation, where obviously they're not going to use that terminology like in 2020. And obviously it's not due to an illness or a fake illness or whatever, but nonetheless, they are locking down certain countries so that you as an American, or you as a Canadian, or you as a UKian, United Kingdomian, English, okay? Somebody correct my language down below, but you will not be able to just go anywhere, especially in the global south, when where you have some of these more freer economies, freer countries that are based on agriculture, and whose citizens and whose villagers do not rely on any type of infrastructure. This is why I'm so glad that the Most High has called me to tell you this, because I've traveled all over Southeastern Africa, up and down the Swahili coast. I've been to villages that have mountains, and you go meet the people up there. They do not have smartphones. When I tell you, not everybody will be on the beast system. Everybody in the West will be on the beast system. Some in the global south will be in the beast system, but a lot of people in the global south do not even have the technology for it, nor are they even interested. Some of these places you go to, and they will tell you, we don't even sell our land. We just stay here. We don't even come off this mountain. How do I know? Because I've experienced it with my children and my husband, okay? And I'm so happy to be telling you this, because maybe you're somebody, you look at these videos, and you're like, okay, she and her family, they've been abroad for 5 years. Maybe I can do it too. You can absolutely do it too with the right information, which is why I'm here to tell you this, okay? Now remember, let's go back to America. That OBIM is a data library, but if moved under CBP, the Customs and Border Management, or Customs and Border Policies, that library now becomes a weapon. Suddenly, your TSA facial scan isn't about convenience. It's a trigger mechanism. Your global entry enrollment becomes a surveillance contract, and your passport photo becomes a predictive behavior tag. Now, this is the scary part. By the end of 2026, the US and Europe will have integrated biometric infrastructure at all major ports of entry, okay? You won't just travel, you're gonna be scanned, you're gonna be scored, and you're gonna be stored into the system. And listen, here's what we already know. US passports will flag people based on prior behavior. Facial recognition will flag past visa overstays, flag searches, or unexplained trips, and it won't just be on paper. They'll be silent, digital, and automatic. Number 2, biometric linking across nations. The US, the UK, Canada, and the EU already share intelligence through Five Eyes, which you may have not known, the Five Eyes Alliance. Now with biometric border logs, they'll know where you were before you even land. Number 3, refusals will be treated as suspicion. In 2026, in a few months, if you refuse biometric entry, that's no longer your right, okay? Just say goodbye to your rights, okay? Unfortunately. It's a red flag, logged permanently, and shared internationally, especially in these countries that I just named, okay? Now, I want you to understand the countries that are named, the US, the UK, Canada, and the EU, which is comprised of about 25 countries, are all European countries, for lack of a better term, okay? They're all European Western countries. And so imagine you come to a country in sub-Saharan Africa, or maybe some of the islands of the sea. And when I talk about the islands of the sea, understand I'm in Africa, so I'm not talking about the Caribbean. I'm talking about some of the islands off the coast of Africa. I'm talking about the islands off the coast in Asia, in the Indian Ocean, and the Pacific Ocean. Some of these countries are not as stringent with their requirements. How do I know? Because I've lived in them, okay? I've learned experience where they are not implementing this everywhere. But when we see that the world is coming under this system, it is mainly highly focused in Western society. That's just the reality of the matter. It just is what it is, okay? And so let's now talk about what this means for expats, entrepreneurs, and frequent travelers, okay? If you think this only affects tourists, you're already in the dark. I'm sorry. Digital nomads will have their movements flagged. If they have too many border crossings, it's going to be suspicious. This is why we teach in State of the Diaspora, our bespoke 90-minute intensive, which we have another one, edition number 10, coming up August 3rd, which is sold out. So I'm sorry, but maybe if you check out the link in the description, you could see if any slots are available in the one that's later in August, because August 3rd, August 7th, they're sold out. Okay, I'm so sorry. But they've been selling out because the people, the expats, the entrepreneurs, they're like, look, I need to get out of here and I want to go to a neutral country. I want to go somewhere that's visa free for Americans, but I don't want it to be Europe. I don't want it to be somewhere near Spain or Portugal. They're like, I want to go to the global south. I want to get in contact with you. Not only that, but the people in the State of the Diaspora get their own WhatsApp group, and maybe you'd like to be added to it. I know we had a client that flew from Thailand back to Southeastern Africa. He was just going to check it out and see what things were like there. We have somebody that's potentially selling their farmland to trade it in for a better life over here, because when you own land in America, it's just a hot mess. Anybody that has owned property in America, it's not all it's cracked up to be with your taxes, and that's a rabbit hole that I can go down, because we owned property in the States and it just was not all it was cracked up to be, okay? But people are leaving America. They may leave for Botswana, Namibia, Mauritius, Seychelles. They may leave for Ghana. They may leave for Tanzania. They may leave for Malawi. I don't know. They may go to Senegal. We had a client that was actually planning on going to Senegal. And so people are making moves, and I don't want you to be left behind unless you would like to be left behind, but there's urgency. It used to be that the urgency was the Israel-Iran conflict, but now that I'm really digging deeper, they are passing so many laws internationally, and that's why I'm like, I have to share this international news. It wasn't enough just to talk about Africa anymore. I've been abroad for 5 years with my husband, and it's like, okay, now we're entering a really weird time. And for whatever reason, maybe it's because people don't understand the biblical narrative or whatever have you, expats are not talking about this. And it's irking me, okay? Because these are serious things. But anyway, I digress. Let's get back to talking about entrepreneurs, tourists, and how this is going to affect you. Because dual citizens will be forced to declare both identities biometrically. My husband and I were talking about this because there's so many initiatives on the continent for African Americans to get dual citizenship. And my husband and I were talking. We tend to be people that receive patterns and understand. We have a high level of discernment. And it was like, hold on, let's not do that. We already have one passport. We have a U.S. passport. It's better to just have multiple residence permits. Why am I saying that? In this new system, the beast, for lack of a better term, Revelations 13, you should check it out. Even if you never read the Bible, just look at Revelations 13 and look at what I'm saying, okay? But listen, they're going to, and especially we see this with President Donald Trump. Now, those of you who are like, I don't want to get into politics, I don't want to mix faith and politics, you're going to want to get into politics and understand what's happening so that you can bypass some of this, okay? Because faith without works is dead. And so you have the faith in your Messiah, Yahusha, who some call Jesus Christ. In Swahili, they call him Yesu. But then you say, I don't want to look at what's happening. That's not how faith works. Faith without works is dead. And so you're going to have to look. You're going to have to do a little research. You're going to have to see, okay, what's happening so that you can have a prayer strategy. And then once you have a prayer strategy, don't just be in the closet, but put some action with that strategy. That brought us here to where we are today in our life, okay? But listen, with the dual citizenship, President Donald Trump, I really need y'all to get this. I need y'all to pay attention. Is anybody paying attention out there? Has anybody paid attention to the 36 country travel ban? Just Google it, y'all. It's Google, okay? He literally said in that travel ban that citizens, American citizens who have like Ghanaian and American or Kenyan and American, or South African and American. They have dual citizenship in certain African countries that are on that travel ban list. They will potentially be flagged. It's not too far out there to imagine that, because that's what's going to happen, okay? And so they're going to potentially lock down accounts, see why you're moving like that in those countries. You're going to be put on a target list. And it's like, why do you want to be target practice? So be discerning with which passports you get in this time. I'm not telling you not to become a dual citizen, but be discerning, be understanding, and really understand your strategy, because as you can see, the surveillance system is going to be international, okay? Now, let's talk about entrepreneurs and consultants, because they may be denied access to foreign markets if flagged correctly by an AI scoring system. Black travelers, especially from the diaspora, will face enhanced profiling based on their names, their hair type, their texture, and cultural movement clues built into facial recognition software. Can somebody say surveillance racism? Okay. And biometric scanning does not exist in a vacuum. It was trained on a historical bias. It remembers things we were trying to forget. But listen, I got you. I do not want you to panic. Deep breath. I want you to prepare though. I want you to get a second residency. I want you to start looking into digital nomad, self-employed entrepreneur visas. I don't want you to go the old route of digital nomadism. I did a podcast with a guy, his name is Jim Barrett. And so we did a podcast with the director of Plumia, okay? And also the director of Safety Wing. She's the director of both companies. And we were talking about digital nomadism. This was back in 2022. And I'm telling you this because I've been in this digital nomad space for a while. People hear that term and they're like, oh, it just means somebody's working online. It's like, no, there's actual legislation that supports digital nomad residencies. How do I know? I have a digital nomad residence. That's how I know. Number one. Number two, that's what I research, and that's what we present to our clients in the state of the diaspora so they can get their documents together. Now, these permits are fairly easy to get if your paperwork is right, where they will let you stay in the country. You don't have to put tens and thousands of dollars in the bank. For the country I'm in, it's actually a free residence. Most of them are free residence permits. They just want you to show a certain amount of money through your bank statements, and then they let you in and they issue it to you. It's a low barrier, low weight, just low. It's not as heavy as some of the other ones. It's not as, oh, you need this biometric, and oh, you need this one, and oh, you need this one. You don't have to do a lot of that. You can bypass that by looking for digital nomad residence permits as of right now. So you want to start the process. You want to look at nations like Mauritius, Seychelles, Panama. I know Brazil has one. I'm not the biggest fan of South America, I'll be honest with you. Due to historical reasons, I'm not the biggest fan of their history, okay? You have to understand, I'm also a homeschooling mom, so I'm very much into education and historical narratives, and I just have some issues with some of the history in that continent. But nonetheless, if you're someone that wants to be a digital nomad in Panama or Brazil, go for it. I prefer sub-Saharan Africa. I prefer maybe even the Mediterranean or Southeast Asia, but definitely number one, sub-Saharan Africa. One, because I'm an African phenotype woman, so I just blend in here very seamlessly. Two, I just love Africa. I just like Africa is just like, it's my home, okay? I just really love it. Even though I have a blue passport, I just really resonate with Africa, okay? The organic food, the culture, the people. But anyway, listen. This gives you options if you have your digital nomad residence, your self-employed entrepreneur permits. And there are some out there that can span 5 to 10 years, okay? Now, if you want more information on that and you really want to see the 5-in-1 strategy we put together, you should look at the state of the diaspora. And you should potentially subscribe to members only. My husband and I documented our journey from Tanzania to Mauritius in real time over the past 2 years. And there's over 80 videos waiting for you. There's over 80 videos. It's $7 a month. There's a little bit too many videos, but if you got time, watch those videos, okay? Because it's really going to show you what that process looked like for us, who has a very, very large family, okay? And the way that we do digital nomadism is not the old way. It's not the hop this border, go here, go there. I'm not gonna do that. That's doing the most. I'm not about to do that. I told you, I'm a mother of 5. I don't have time for that. My oldest child is 13. My youngest is about to turn 2. I don't have time for that. I'm not gonna be doing that, okay? And so I would tell you to get your residence permit in a country that has great residence permits. Not every African country has great residence permits. I'm gonna just be honest with you. I know that Mauritius has the #1 residence permit, okay? Next, you can also look at Seychelles. You can also look at Namibia. You can look at Botswana. You could potentially look at Ghana. Rwanda has a great one as well, potentially Senegal. But that's about it when we talk about residence permits, staying in a place for like up to 5 years. Those are unbeatable, okay? And they rank low on corruption, which is super, super important, as our clients know in the state of that diaspora now. Use multi-currency and cross-border banking tools. Apps like Wise and Revolt don't ask about your biometric score for now. Start building parallel infrastructure. Keep offline and physical backups. Now, for the crypto people, we were talking about in one of the previous videos, cold wallets, right? That's one of the systems that you can use to kind of have your stuff offline. This is what I'm telling you, where there's a will, there's a way. There's 2 solutions for every problem. That's what I believe. Faith without works is dead, but put some works with your faith. And then learn data erasure rights under GDPR. Europe allows you to request deletion of your biometric file in some cases. Know how to use that leverage if you are in Europe, okay? Now, for finance leaders, if you are unaware, I'm Tiffany G. I'm the founder of a bespoke marketing agency. It's a marketing advisory serving finance firms of over 9 years now, helping my clients collectively generate $27.9 million in revenue to date. If you are a mortgage lender, if you are a CPA, if you are a finance attorney, if you are just an attorney, period, and you want to market your business online, you want to get into retention and email marketing, or you want to have me as your advisor create your content strategy for you, check out www.tiffygwrites.co. I'll leave some resources for you down below, like my favorite blog, 21 Ways to Find Trust Signals in Finance Copywriting. Check it out at the link in the description. And y'all, 2026 isn't just a date, it's a threshold. A time when identity becomes a code, when your movement becomes a metric. And if you're not ready, they're gonna make the decision for you. Shalom, shalom. I'll see you in the next one.